Let's talk about Holy Communion in the hand. Here we go, another one. We got a whole list here, folks. It's interesting, in a book that I'm going to talk about in the wrap-up, a very high-ranking cardinal says that we must remember that Holy Communion in the hand began as an abuse. And a lot of people don't realize that. And you can talk to Catholics, good Catholics, everything's right, and just, they somehow seem like offended, or, I'm a grown man, or I'm a grown woman, I can take communion in my hands. Talk about this whole thing about Holy Communion in the hand. What's the issue here?
Yeah. Well, again, it is by indult to our nations. And
what does that mean?
An indult means a special permission has been granted by the Holy See to various national churches to be able, or national bishops' conferences, to permit the communion distribution by the hand. I grew up receiving communion in the hand. We didn't know that there was anything different. We just assumed that was the way Father told us to, so that was the way we did. But there is a certain ambiguity even in this indult, and the ambiguity consists in this sense of taking and receiving and holding, and it is in some way ambiguous, because our Lord really isn't someone we grasp and take and do with as we wish. He is rather the gift from the Eternal Father which we wish to receive. And reception is beautifully embraced and modeled in that gesture of reception of communion on the tongue while kneeling. It is really quite remarkable that gesture says everything about our Catholic belief. And we must always remember that has never been abrogated. In fact, that is the norm. It is like in so many other things where we thought this was gone, or we thought that this had been completely suppressed. But that's the norm, you see. And you see, this is the funny thing about this motu proprio. When the Holy Father reveals this, he says to us that it was never abrogated. The old traditional Latin Mass was never suppressed. Well, then you sit back and you say to yourself, well, if that is true, then there must be a lot of things that I had presumed, but I presumed wrongly, you see. And we have this window of opportunity. We must take advantage of this window and say, well, now let us examine this. If this is indeed what the Church says, and the Church says that the norm is the reception of communion on the tongue while kneeling, and that no priest has the power to compel you to receive standing and in the hand, that is a real powerful statement from the Holy Father to say to every Catholic faithful, the priest cannot deny you the right to receive communion while kneeling on your tongue. You have the right to receive that. That is from the Church. That is the official statement of the Church. And wow, that is quite a statement, because I'm sure if perhaps of you have experienced the negative repercussions of kind of challenging that, I would not say to challenge it in the communion line, perhaps to maybe inform your pastor in advance, very nicely, and with a smile, always with a smile, saying, I have discovered this wonderful way, and I want my family to experience this beautiful feeling. And chances are 99% of the priests will think that you are very kind, that you let them know in advance, and they will accommodate and make every opportunity for you. I'm sure of it. Absolutely. Yeah. I'm sure of it. Absolutely.
It's also worth noting that it was a year or two ago or so, I think it was, what becomes the norm now when the Holy Father says Mass is a kneeler is brought out, if one isn't already there. A kneeler is brought out, and you receive Holy Communion from the Pope, kneeling on the tongue, and that is the only way you can receive Holy Communion from the Pope.